This is macOS Ken.
Apple's still fighting the sideloading thing. Some tech press people get to try out Spatial Video, and iFixit busts into an M3 MacBook Pro. It is Monday, the 13th of November, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code MOK250 at greenchef.com/MOK250. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Turns out Apple admitting the possibility of third-party app stores and sideloading for iPhone is not the same as accepting their advent. I told you last week of changes to a recent Apple 10K filing. Thanks to those, it appeared to some that it was all over but the shouting as far as Apple was concerned, and that the company would make way for app stores besides its own for the iPhone. All of this to be in compliance with the EU's Digital Markets Act, or DMA. Turns out, though, Apple still got some fight left in it. Apple Insider highlights a Bloomberg report that says the Cupertino company is drafting an appeal to the DMA, arguing that it should not be required to allow alternative app marketplaces on its devices. We don't know specifically what Apple's arguments will be. Another piece on the issue from 9 to 5 Mac says the deadline for Apple's appeal is Thursday, the 16th of November, and the company may sit on the appeal or continue working on it up to the final day. Past arguments from the company against sideloading have tended to focus on privacy and security concerns. Apple has also argued that the commission it charges developers helps pay for App Store innovations that have benefited both developers and customers. The App Store won't be Apple's only topic of discussion in this week's filing. In fact, it may not even be the biggest part of it. Primarily, the Apple Insider piece says, Apple is said to be focusing on iMessage not being large enough to count as a gatekeeper in accordance with the DMA. Though Apple Vision Pro won't be out until early next year, members of the press have had a chance to try out one of its features. I told you last week that the second developer beta of iOS 17.2 had turned on the ability to capture spatial video on iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max. Spatial video is the 3D video users will be able to capture for and view in Apple's mixed reality headset. While those videos will be viewable on the iPhone as well, they won't be 3D because, duh. In lockstep with the spatial video capture function, Apple has invited some in the tech press to give the feature a go. Mac Rumors wrote up some of their write-ups late last week. Highlighting some of their highlights, The Street's Jacob Kroll wrote, "Likely as Apple intended, capturing spatial video is simple and feels just as intuitive as shooting in another one of the modes on the iPhone 15 Pro or iPhone 15 Pro Max. You'll turn the phone into landscape to unlock the recording mode, indicated by a headset icon, and see a level appear as you're filming." Impressed, though somewhat cynical, was CNET's Scott Stein. He says video shot for spatial video when viewed on Vision Pro look great, and the 3D is compellingly realistic. Two things he'd like, though: higher quality and a lower price. While there is no time limit on spatial video videos, they are limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. A piece from Apple Insider on early reviews had Stein saying he felt the desire to see them in more fluid 60 FPS, 4K, or both. Maybe someday, he laments. That said, it will be a while before many people care, in his estimation. That's because it will be a while before many people own the headset. Ultimately, Stein says, the feature is made for a 2024 product that, at $3,500, it's safe to say most people won't buy anytime soon. Still, the experience is impressive. Maybe impressive enough to sell more $3,500 headsets? Tech Radar reviewer Lance Ulanoff seems to think so. First, on the 1080p 30 FPS thing, Ulanoff points out that even with those limitations, the file size is a bit larger, with 1 minute of spatial video creating a 130 megabyte file. But he really, 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 really likes it. According to his write-up, spatial video could be the Vision Pro's killer app. It may make the most compelling case yet for, if not owning a Vision Pro, then at least wishing you did. If you're a member of Apple's public testing program with an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, I assume you can go ahead and start capturing spatial video of your own. A piece from Mac Rumors says the second betas of iOS and iPadOS 17.2 are available to public testing peeps. While that piece lists a number of features about which we already knew, the Journal app, features for Apple Music, stickers as tapbacks, and so on, the ability to capture spatial video is not listed nor mentioned in the Mac Rumors report. There is indication of something going away with the next round of updates. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says it looks like the Cupertino company is closing its dedicated iTunes movie store. Based on code from the second beta of iOS 17.2 and tvOS 17.2, the report says Apple will soon merge the iTunes movie store with the Apple TV app. Although users can already buy movies and TV shows within the TV app, Apple devices still have a dedicated iTunes Store application. Similar to what happened back in August with the apps and website for iTunes trailers, the Movie Store post says strings seen by 9 to 5 Mac confirm that users will soon see the following message: iTunes Movies moved to the Apple TV app. The TV shows section will also be merged with the TV app in the regions where it is available. While the way is being paved, it's unclear exactly when that shift will happen. In Beta 2, 9 to 5 Mac says users can still access the iTunes Movie Store in its dedicated app. iPads and iPhones weren't the only Apple machines to get new public betas last week. Another piece from Mac Rumors says Apple on Friday made the second beta of macOS Sonoma 14.2 available to the public testing crew. No alarms and no surprises with this one. People in Apple's public beta testing program, it is time to earn your badge for being bleeding edge. Folks who wish you were that cool, your journey begins at beta.apple.com. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. For a lot of us, the holidays are very food-centric. Lots of starches, lots of cheeses, lots of sweets. It's easy to get carried away. Green Chef can be a great counterbalance to that. They take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. They deliver everything you need to eat clean with incredibly delicious meals. Seriously. With some meals, I got ingredients I didn't think I'd like. With other meals, it was ingredients I wouldn't have known what to do with. The recipes and illustrated instructions each ended with some of the tastiest meals I have had in a while. And, busy as the holidays can be, Green Chef can save you time as well, with dinners that are ready in 30 minutes or less, 10-minute lunches, grab-and-go lunches, healthy snacks, and more. Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, so you know they know quality and convenience. Time for you to know Green Chef. For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code MOK250 at greenchef.com/MOK250. Feel your best this holiday season with Green Chef. Go to greenchef.com/MOK250. Again, get $250 off with code MOK250 at greenchef.com/MOK250. Apple and Amazon may be in another icky situation. Have you noticed how junked up with sponsored posts Amazon has gotten over the last little while? The Federal Trade Commission has, and yet Business Insider has noticed something interesting. Apple's product pages on Amazon are not junked up with sponsored posts. According to a piece from Engadget, when the Federal Trade Commission filed an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon in September, it accused the company of deliberately increasing junk ads that worsen search quality. But again, not so for product pages dedicated to Apple. Both Business Insider and Engadget found that the pages for Apple products, such as iPhone and iPad, show a clean page layout with no ads or recommendation. Meanwhile, products from rival brands, including Samsung Galaxy and Microsoft Surface, show multiple banner ads and several sponsored recommendations from other brands. Responding on the issue, Apple basically said, well, yeah. Apple apparently confirmed to Business Insider that it does have an agreement with Amazon to keep other companies from buying ads for specific Apple-related brand queries on or from Amazon. The report has Apple listing two reasons for pursuing the deal. One was to address counterfeit products on Amazon, because it used to send Amazon hundreds of thousands of takedown notices before the deal. The other reason, Apple says, was for the customer. And there is no reason other companies can't follow suit. The piece has an Apple representative saying, Apple's goal for the agreements was to create the best possible customer experience, and others are free to do the same. Free is an interesting word in that sentence, though. An email between Apple and Amazon back in 2018, unearthed by the FTC, had Amazon rebuffing Apple's request to keep competing ads off of its search terms. What Amazon said then was that it could not alter its organic search algorithm to return only Apple products in the search results when an Apple term is searched. Apple would need to purchase these placements or compensate Amazon for the lost ad revenue. Engadget says it's currently unknown whether Apple actually pays Amazon to keep those placements empty. And finally today, iFixit has taken a hard look at the outside of the space black MacBook Pro. Being iFixit, it is also busted into an M3 MacBook Pro. We'll start with the outside. Actually, if you're a nerd about computers, I'll let you start with the outside. In a write-up that would make Victor Hugo call for an editor, that would make Charles Dickens wonder how many words is too many words. I kid. I mean, it is a long piece, but it is also interesting. Posted now at iFixit.com. Busting it open and hopefully putting it back together is the bigger part of what iFixit does. They don't seem to have done a teardown write-up yet, though they have posted a teardown video on YouTube. While they dig how easy the thing is to get into physically, iFixit continues to be bothered by Apple pairing more and more components with the logic board. That pairing means replacement parts have to come from Apple and be handled Apple's way, though not necessarily by Apple, for repairs to be good as new. They're also not fans of the 8 GB of unified memory as a starting point. That said, they say any of the M3 MacBook Pros with 16 GB of unified memory or more should serve one well for years to come. Really, though, it's the pairing with the logic board that annoys them. iFixit gives the new MacBook Pro a provisional repairability score of 4 out of 10, assuming parts and repair manuals are eventually made available. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code MOK250 at greenchef.com/MOK250. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.